I don't know if anybody had the same thought as me when NXT TakeOver happened, the end, when they saw the Authors of Pain come out, and it instantly made me go, yes, we can make Roman Reigns great again. And we're going to talk about it in this video because, let's be honest, your favorite superhero, your favorite WWE Superman, he isn't doing so well. He's getting muted on pay-per-views because of the boos. The crowd really isn't responding the way WWE wants them to be. I mean, hell, John Cena was still more over than Roman Reigns in terms of, John Cena has his haters, just like Roman Reigns does. Cena's are often very vocal. Roman seems to have more of a balance in his favor, his hate compared to likability like John Cena. But a big thing that I was thinking about was including the Authors of Pain with Roman Reigns. Now, there's possibilities of many different factions right now in the WWE. We have the possibility of the Bullet Club, the Club, whatever the fuck they're going to be called. I just wish it would stop being called the Club. The Club is so generic. I don't care if it's called the Baylor Club, if it's called the Styles Club, if it's called the Bullet Club, if they license that name, if they do anything else. I don't care. All I know is I want them to stop being called the Club. If they do start to add members or they become dominant, or, maybe New Day adds members and adds Sasha Banks or, does other things, who knows where that would go. It kind of presents an opportunity for, if Roman Reigns is getting screwed, or let's say Seth Rollins wins the title, and the Usos try to have backup, right? Because there was plans of, doing the Club maybe versus the Usos and Roman, which doesn't seem to be happening now that, they kind of went their separate direction with John Cena, especially now that John Cena is back. But it kind of set him up. Styles went from Roman Reigns to the actual Superman in the WWE, John Cena. And that kind of freed up Roman Reigns, obviously for Seth Rollins' return. But now if you have Seth Rollins or any sort of faction, or if he just wants to have backup against Seth Rollins or he just wants to beat him up, I mean, the Usos have pretty much been, I don't want to say worthless to Roman Reigns, but being with Roman Reigns has hurt the Usos. The Usos used to be somewhat over. Now, there's something that has changed in the last couple months that has gotten me not to be a big fan of the Usos the last year. Not that I don't like them. I don't know if it's the super kicks or if there's something they're doing that I'm just not digging, but I'm just really not digging the Usos right now. They were cool when they were tag team champions and they were kind of on their roll and they were first getting hot. And, the last, couple months has just not been something I've been super interested with the Usos. So, the Usos really weren't able to provide the backup. They lost that tag team match before the main event, even though I thought by beating them, they should have been knocked out and not came out to interfere in the main event. That could have helped the storyline a little bit more. But since the Usos really can't provide the backup that Roman Reigns wants, throwing in the Authors of Pain, and especially, man, could you imagine the stable with the Authors of Pain, Paul Ellering, and Roman Reigns? I know they don't need him whatsoever. The Authors of Pain and Paul Ellering have no reason, logically, to probably end up with Roman Reigns or be anywhere near him. But if I'm looking at the Roman Reigns that has the body armor on, the bodysuit stuff, and, I think people always ask, like Dave Meltzer, or ask people all the time, is what's killing Roman Reigns, not just because they pushed him wrong too, but does it have anything to do with the fact that he's kept the Shield music, he's kept the same gear, the look, he kept the crowd entrance for the longest time until he finally got the title, or it wasn't hot enough, that he wasn't over enough to get patted by the crowd, because you better believe that they would probably still be doing Roman Reigns' old entrance if it was more crowd-friendly. But with the boos, I don't think anybody would... I think that WWE would be a little worried about what would happen coming down the aisle. So Roman Reigns right now is getting booed. And I said this before, my favorite moment from Roman Reigns in the past couple months was when he was in the ring right after WrestleMania. Before we got that number one contender from that fatal four-way match. And he's just sitting there, no give a fuck Roman Reigns, zero fucks Roman Reigns, as they just start beating the shit out of each other, and he's just sitting there smiling. And I thought, this is the Roman Reigns we need. He just needs to embrace the fact that he's Superman. He just needs to embrace the fact that he is booked as the next top guy, and what you're going to do about it? Beat me. Put your money where your mouth is. So ultimately, when somebody like Seth does beat him, it's kind of a big deal. It's not going to hurt him because he's Superman. It's just like John Cena. So if Roman Reigns loses the title, it's not necessarily the end of the world for him. He just might have got bested. But say he does get bested and things really aren't working and the Usos are no help. All of a sudden, we find out one night the Usos have been laid out. And Roman Reigns, this is a storyline to get Roman Reigns out of the main event, all right? So just go with me on this. Say they give the title back to Seth Rollins. All right, so Roman Reigns needs a storyline. Roman Reigns needs to figure out what the hell is going on. So during his match, Roman Reigns is facing Seth Rollins. Well, some tomfoolery happens, and the Usos try to come out and help. Well, the Usos cost him his title. And then it comes time for Battleground, where there's either a big six-man match or something happening, and he loses. Roman loses thanks to the Usos. And Roman's just pissed. Roman doesn't understand it. Roman is... Well, the next night we find out that, let's say it's the club. Let's say we do the club, because I think you could still tie it in nicely, although I think the Cena thing will carry on a couple months. If it wasn't for the Cena thing, I think this would work out. You could have the club versus Roman, or the Usos get taken out again. So then the next night you think the club's doing it, and the club is just, they're like, we didn't do it, what the hell? So everybody thinks it's the club. And finally, you could have it build up for a couple weeks. You could have it lead into a SummerSlam match, possibly. If you wanted to get Roman out of the title picture, although I don't think he will by the time SummerSlam rolls around. It's just probably an evident fact. But it gets revealed probably a couple weeks out from SummerSlam that it was, in fact, the Authors of Pain, and Roman's got new backup. And the Usos can't believe it. So whether or not the Usos have to try to find somebody for a six-man match, I mean, it might get a little repetitive 2 months in a row. But I definitely think they could, go after that family lineage. I think it probably would be stupid to break up the Usos and Roman Reigns just from a family standpoint. But I definitely do think they're being hurt by being with Roman Reigns because of the fact that people just hate Roman Reigns, because they're closed-minded on him. Roman Reigns is turning into the new John Cena, where his matches with AJ Styles were fucking fantastic, but that nobody gives any credit to Roman. Apparently there's only one dude in that wrestling ring, and it was AJ Styles. Roman did absolutely nothing to help. He carried him the whole way. Everybody says with AJ Styles, which is bullshit. You can't have one guy. I mean, you can't have one guy carry a match. But ultimately, if you have one guy carrying a match, it makes the other guy look bad. And when they're both looking good, it's not. I mean, come on, guys. That argument is always bugged me a little bit. And so if you think about it, truly though, I think it would be absolutely awesome for the Authors of Pain just to do that. So they have their match, right? They're fighting at Battleground. They come out on top. Maybe Cena's involved. It's Cena and Roman Reigns versus the club because they have their history. I don't know. Maybe the club adds somebody, and it's a 4-on-4 at Battleground. So it's a huge Survivor Series-esque type match. And that's when the stuff starts to hit the fan. So then Cena can branch off with a club. And actually that might work at Battleground. From a once-in-a-lifetime match, the club gets involved. Roman's sick of it. Although that would kind of kill off his storyline with Seth, and I don't think WWE would ever rush it that fast, but it would be pretty cool to see. Even if WWE waits on this, I think that legitimately from the look of them, when they destroyed the the jobbers on NXT, they really kind of showed me that they do definitely have potential. They're both pretty well in the career department that I think that they could do pretty well in the WWE. They have that look. They have that. I don't want to fuck with them. The Shield is awesome, but I always envision the Shield to be big dudes. You have Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. Okay. Roman, from the ideal, the look of the Shield is more Roman Reigns, is a big dominant faction. So replace Roman Reigns with the Authors of Pain, and maybe ultimately the Authors of Pain jump ship to the club or something. And they ultimately do a double turn on Roman Reigns. And after that double turn on Roman Reigns, where they go to him, guess who has to reform? The Shield. The Shield must reform to take down the new club that has the former members, the Authors of Pain, Paul Ellering. So that's where the managers are controlling him. He has these two beasts that he controls, these two guys that are so powerful. And they'll do whatever the fuck they want. They're kind of like hitmen. They're assassins. They're the heavy. And Paul Ellering can choose. So it's kind of like make a deal with Paul. And where is Paul's talents being contracted to? I go to the highest bidder. And then he has him as the beast for the other guys. I think WWE could really do something with that. And like I said, it's a way you could have the real Shield reform and just show how dominant they were. Because WWE could milk the Shield just like they milked DX in terms of reunions and shows and NWO. Like, they could definitely milk it, especially like Evolution too. So it'll be kind of cool to see when we finally do get a Shield reunion. So I want to know your guys' thoughts on this, man. Would you think pairing up the Authors of Pain or any of the storylines I kind of pitched to you, did they interest you at all? Any of them kind of sound like something that you would like to see down the road? Let me know in the comment section below. I'd really appreciate it, man. I think they would look like beasts behind Roman Reigns. Like, they just come out behind him, like they look like they're going to beat him up, and they stand behind him. And Seth Rollins would be like, what the fuck? Right? That's what I want to see. I want to see that unpredictability. Authors of Pain, please tag up with Roman Reigns. Take out the Usos. Get them off TV for a bit. Let them focus on Total Divas. And until next time, it's your boy Tubby. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you all later.